Do you want to do a podcast? We make a darn good team. It always goes without a hitch. Let's head to Twitch and go start up the stream. Do you want to do a podcast? It's the Nerd Glasses Podcast. Let's start now. Hi everyone and welcome to the Nerd Glasses Podcast. Come?
Alright, I'll do my own bits myself.
Oh wait, no silence.
We're doing it. Get off the road.
So Dave.
Yes, Motor.
What do you say when you've successfully negotiated a price on a mid-size Honda sedan? I believe we've come to an accord. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Nerd Glasses Podcast, back in the Insane Games TV studio. Oh! I'm Boater.
I'm Dave Mann.
And we're back. And we were talking during the pre-roll, which, number one, that didn't happen in the old setup because of microphones and everything. If I heard Dave, you guys would have heard Dave, so there was like a lot of gestures and stuff. We were talking during the pre-roll about all the things that we've been doing these past 4 months as we've been doing Nerd Glasses, and as we've been doing Insane Games TV remotely, and now we're back in the Citadel. Wow. Back in the studio. Good, more like Rick and Mortis. Clearly, they're talking about Kylo Ren back here when they say the stud.
I mean, a little bit.
Yeah, so, Dave, welcome back to the studio. You've done a couple shows from the studio now at this point, right?
I had the distinctive pleasure of being the guinea pig for the return to the Insane Games TV studio, and we only had, two enormous problems. One where the internet just shit the bed. Right in the middle of Ghost of Tsushima on Sunday of service.
Yep.
But you, the wonderful followers on Insane Games TV, stuck around and chatted with me and helped with that, and it was mwah. And now we've had, since then, we have had the illustrious return of Behind the Counter, the Legacy program, where it all started. Mike and Dan held it down for another fantastic episode. And here we are. We just had Danny NASCAR, where I got to guest on, and Dan and I tore up the track. So much fun. And even if you're not a fan, I know, Boater, you're a fan of racing games, and I know the folks out there. NASCAR Heat 5. I gotta say, even if you're not a fan of NASCAR, the sport, and all these things, it's got enough, if you're a fan of a racing game, to at least keep those hands sweaty, the trigger finger pulled, and the mouth going,
Oh, yep. Yeah, I kind of hope to get here early enough next week to hop in on Danny NASCAR before we start doing our getting ready for Nerd Glasses.
I mean, if you're interested in, definitely let Dan know, because there can be up to 40 drivers. And on Sunday, we've been doing a special Insane Games TV Live.
I'll just be on another machine somewhere just yelling, "Get the hell out of the way!"
Yep. Well, that's what we were doing on Sunday. We were all at home playing together in one lobby, and it was mwah.
Nice.
We have so much new gaming news to bring to you guys. Unfortunately, but fortunately, we are dealing with the power of the new Insane Games TV studio setup, the Kraken. Unfortunately, we have not yet tamed it to be able to play videos as we did on the previous setup, so thank you, Boater, for having provided that during COVID times. So we're just going to paint you pictures with words.
Hooray! Oh, Dave, we're missing something. Hold on. This was something that was so important in the set that I actually inserted it in between the divider. Okay, hold on. There we go.
Special shout out to Fenian for giving me that for my 21st birthday. I see. Well, everyone's, now that you're here, we can finally get to this training. It is on the ticket for later today. Make sure you stay tuned in because we do have a full docket of things, and I'm very excited to get to where we're started with. But first, Boater, welcome back to the studio. It is great to be across the counter from you again.
Yeah, it's like I haven't spoken to you, and we were saying this, like, Dave, I haven't had the chance to just talk to you outside of nerd glasses, and then the one time that we did some pre-production for the movie project, which we need to get back on top of at some point.
Oh, yeah.
But like we haven't had the chance to just like talk in a way that is not broadcast to everyone. So just having a chance to like catch up for half an hour before we went live was great. And I'm really excited to be back here. Like, again, in the same space. Able to talk during the pre-show. Not having to be like, all right, I'm unmuting my headset mic. And
then Savannah deciding she wants to play with the headset and all the things that happen.
And there being a thunderstorm, so Katusha climbing onto my desk.
It's, I'm also very glad, and I can tell you, by the way, that I did measure it. From where I am currently sitting to where you are sitting, we are actually 6 feet.
No, we're not.
So if you choose to lower the mask, just don't look this way, but you can do that.
That is not 6 feet.
Oh, it's 6 feet enough. People at home don't need to know that.
It is 2 yards, though.
So, a lot of things have been going on in gaming. The one that you at home can participate in right now is I want you to think to yourselves, did you ever own a PSP? Is there a PSP in a box, currently in an attic, a basement, or a storage unit of your home?
Can I say something controversial really quick?
Sure.
I really like the form factor of the PSP Go.
Yes, absolutely.
And, like, I kind of want one, a PSP Go, and it was like the most panned thing when it came out.
If you think about it, though, Nintendo definitely borrowed that for the 3D, the 2DS, because it borrowed from that ergonomic curve and handheld feel. Demon Dragon says, nope, skipped that one. Well, if you do, please, I implore you, and Sony implores you, and the gaming community at large implores you, find it, because now they are discovering that the batteries are getting to a certain age where the lithium ion is starting to fail, and they are starting to bulge, not explode. You are not looking at low ordnance.
We're not getting the Samsung effect.
Yes.
But it's, I mean, lithium-ion batteries do eventually fail and bulge and whatever. But the fact that they're bringing it up and mentioning it as a PSP thing, it's a specific defect for that battery more than others. I mean, like, I've definitely had my fair share of lithium-ion batteries with busted cells that bulge like that. Check your PSPs. If you have a PSP 3000, you have the best one.
You're actually not susceptible to that, by the way. The 3000 era batteries.
Okay, well then you still have the best one, and you shouldn't have to worry. But check it anyway, because it can happen to anything. But I guess it's more susceptible in the 1 and 2000s?
Yes, okay. It is absolutely a battery defect, and it's part of the reason that the 3000s had almost double the battery life of the 1 and 2000 models. So just make sure you're staying...
Okay, so when are we talking PSP, I was in my video game retail prime from 2008 to 2012, and when I'm talking about these different PSP models, it's drawing on that.
Yep.
That thing's been out a while.
It certainly has. That's why Sony's not going to give you anything for it, but they are reminding you that it will deform the battery case,
notice and all that,
and things like that, so that your PSP is still valuable, and you can still get games here at Insane Games TV.
Yep. Not for the PSP Go, but you know.
So we're going to take a trip, fast forward to the year 2017.
In the year 2017,
people were very excited about a game coming out exclusively for the Xbox One and for the PC. That game was Cuphead. Fast forward 2 years later, 2019, Nintendo Switch players were getting in on the Cuphead action, getting to play. Just today, 2020, COVID times, all these things, we, the proud Sony community, can finally play Cuphead in our natural habitat.
Sad.
They have updated it. They have brought it over. And, by the way, we're getting the gold version. So, you know, if you waited, you are now being rewarded without having to buy all the DLC and the waiting for the adjustments and things.
Well, I mean, most games, when they make a new release after 3 years, it is the one with all the DLC. You get, you know, Deus Ex Human Revolution had the Missing Link DLC. Like, you couldn't buy it without, at that point, you know, it was the Game of the Year editions and all that. I mean, that's kind of standard, so it's just...
If it's not, it's EA.
Yeah, you can see it under the mask, but I was kind of doing this like, really? PlayStation is finally getting Cuphead? Good. Welcome to the table.
Well, it is also a matter of Microsoft being being ahead of the curve on that game. They had exclusivity and distribution, so Sony had to wait till that licensing
Timed
ran up.
exclusivity is a big thing, and again, that's why when we talked about the box editions of Untitled Goose Game, it's still just PlayStation and Switch. It might have just come out on Steam recently, but otherwise there was timed exclusivity in the Epic Store, and it's still not out on Xbox, and I don't know when/if the plan is for that. So, maybe 4 years from now, 3 years from now, Xbox will get Goose Game, but it'll be with the Series X. So, it'll be super awesome and high fidelity on the Series X for Untitled Goose Game.
Did you watch Microsoft's announcement for the Series X?
I did not.
Okay. Can you redo that bit you were just doing?
The super high fidelity?
Yes.
Super high fidelity for what game?
And now can you say the words world premiere in that voice?
World premiere.
Okay. You've now seen 90% of what happened on the most recent Microsoft announcement. The only thing you are missing, Demon Dragon, honk honk goose, is, in fact, the titles to the games they are announcing. Now, the titles I am going to say, they're either going to elicit great response to you because you're going to recognize them, or you're going to have no idea. And I can tell you, as someone that watched this, absolutely...
Where's the mouse? Sorry. You keep doing your thing. I'm seeing something weird with the audio, and I'm
absolutely make sure that you go out and you look into these games that aren't necessarily the big names, because those are the ones that really did tantalize and fascinate me. But just to cross over so one that we have touched on, Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
World premiere. No, wait. High fidelity. That wasn't world premiere. They talked about that one already.
We got an announcement for Stalker 2.
World premiere.
Super excited for that one. Far Cry 6 coming to the next-gen consoles.
Etc., etc.
Watchdog Legions. The ones that I am getting kind of excited about, the new Forza Motorsport. Boater, you could, it's just beautiful, beautiful.
I haven't played a Forza Motorsport since they took out the Saturn Ion after Forza 4. So yeah.
I gotta tell you though, if you're gonna try one, this is gonna be it because it was beautiful. Mm-hmm. They had a big spot for Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I know what you're saying. Okay. That one's already been out. What they did was they said
high fidelity.
That's exactly what the whole announcement of that one was. By the way, they put the whole studio back to work, and actually kind of in a COVID.
Nice game that you got there, guys. Make it again.
Yeah, make it but better. The two games that I will say you guys should definitely look into are Avowed and Everwild. I'm very interested in those. I'm very excited for those.
Everwild sounds interesting. It sounds like the kind of thing I'd be into.
They did also announce Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. If you're a fan of that series, you're a fan of that series. If you don't, this might not be the one to get in on, but by God. The ones that they buried and the ones that are very excited, Gears Tactics is coming to the Xbox One Series X.
Tactics? Huh.
It's going to be fun.
World premiere?
Warhammer 40,000 Darktide. I highly recommend you look up the Warhammer 40,000 literary universe. It is par excellence.
It's fucking massive.
It is.
When I was working at a bookstore, we had a sci-fi tie-ins section, and Star Wars and Star Trek were split off, and I had to be like, I'm sorry, we need to split off Warhammer because it is 3 times the size of Star Trek, and it's all gorgeous stuff, and everything that I've seen for Warhammer 40K is amazing world building.
They have a couple hundred authors under their employ. They have over 1,000 artists, this and that, and there, and yet they manage to do better than Disney does with the Star Wars storylines. In that they keep them consistent and they don't retcon stuff.
I will say too, before we had it spun off, for some reason Warhammer wasn't even listed as sci-fi tie-ins. It was just listed as sci-fi. But it would be in a different part of the shelf. So I would sit here and I'd be like, why can't I find this? Oh, the author is John French. That's in Warhammer. And the same, I would just get to, oh yeah, I know that author. That's a Warhammer author.
So Warhammer 40,000...
Oh, it's called, Throne of Annihilation.
Yep.
Pretty sure that's a Warhammer book.
It very much is. Warhammer 40,000 Dark Tide. Looking forward to that game. Can't wait to talk about it. Can't wait to play it.
I like how you mentioned.
Prime.
I like how you mentioned that a game's coming out, and then we spent 5 minutes talking about the books.
I mean, but they tie in. That's the one great thing about the 40K universe and the Warhammer universe. They're not mutually exclusive. They don't push away fans of the tabletop game, fans of the books, fans of the games. You can enter at any level, and you can easily transfer over in any of them.
Stop that. You're making Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans sad.
I know, and you should be sad.
No.
The bigger names...
It was a good show, and then they just stopped doing anything with what the movies were doing.
So the bigger names that they got announced, the ones that they really postured for, were the oncoming, already announced, teased, but videoed Halo Infinite.
Yep.
Super excited for that one. A new ring is coming. The Master Chief is back. They're going to introduce some new vehicles.
So
old
I try
guns.
not to follow things too close, so I don't
Yes.
get too spoiled. Infinite is it the next one after 5?
Hmm?
It's 6.
Yep.
Infinite is Halo 6, but they're just not doing a number.
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Yes. It's going to be, and the good thing is this
That's
one,
aggravating, and I friggin' hate it when they do that.
the good news is this one is taking its time to explain why it's Halo Infinite.
Okay.
As opposed to why it's not Halo 6. So
Okay.
I will say I got a little bit of a spoil from a Garnted Cult member, a friendo, and I won't ruin it for you, but I did appreciate that they gave me some context. The two announcements that I'm most excited about, and the ones that they teased the last, was you hear this big swell of music, and then suddenly, who frames into screen? But the man that you always want associated with the music in your video game, Jack Black. Just kind of meanders
I was going to say
onto
John
screen.
Williams, but okay.
Well, again, in a perfect world, but this
Hold on.
video game
Wait.
Yes.
Are they making a Brutal Legend sequel?
You know, I thought that too, and I really got excited because it would be the last chance for Ozzy Osbourne to be associated with a game again. But
I want to talk Brutal Legend with you after this, but go ahead.
they are announcing the long-awaited, the long-decried, the long-anticipated Psychonauts 2 is getting its full treatment.
Okay.
I know. It's getting its full treatment. It looks beautiful. It looks inspired by music and things like that, and I'm in for it.
Okay.
Very excited for it. Very excited for the feel of it. I definitely recommend checking out the trailer for that one. The music swelled. You really felt in. The animation style might not be yours, but that's where the gameplay mechanics and things like that might bring you back. It is in the style of a Sly Raccoon, a Jack and Daxter, things like that.
Yeah.
A 3D platformer.
Yeah.
Another Brutal Legends Demon Dragon. I know. That's what I thought immediately when he walked on. And
Dave, did you play Brutal Legends?
I did.
Did you finish Brutal Legends?
No.
Same. I started it. I enjoyed it. It started out as an action-adventure game, and eventually became more about controlling minions. At which point, I said, Overlord did this better. I stopped playing Brutal Legends, and I went and I played Overlord again.
There's no reason not to play Overlord. By the way, buy Overlord. If you see it at your local game shops, just buy it.
And I think it's like $3 on Steam. Buy it.
So the last game that they announced is one that I know you and I are going to have a little bit of discussion about because of how they did it. Screen goes black. Video opens. A pixie flies into frame. A pixie, literal wings, the dust, the whole thing. Flying around, laughing, some mythological-looking beasts in the background. Very nice displayed scapes.
High fidelity.
Exactly. Seaboater's getting the he's giving
Of course,
you the
that
right
time
space.
that I said high fidelity, all of a sudden I was reminded of the novel and the movie.
Suddenly, the pixie floats over to a flower, starts to smell it. You can feel the air.
Venus flytrap!
Fly across. Close. A horrified expression washes across the pixie's face as it is ripped into the maw of a frog. Camera pans up as the fairy is chewed upon, and the mythological letters for the Xbox series, Fable, appears.
Okay.
The
To be
reason-
fair, I
but-
haven't played a Fable since Fable 1.
So, the reason you will be excited about that is because the words Fable appeared, and then Peter Molyneux did not appear and didn't say anything.
We did it!
That used car salesman finally got told maybe you can talk to someone online about the game. The game then crescendoed to black, and we were left wondering, is this a reboot of Fable? Or is it going to be a continuation of the storyline as it stood?
So, listen, it's hard for me to get excited about that kind of thing. Last year, Brian David Gilbert of Polygon made a video that's just, every E3 conference ever. And he was talking about how some of them are just like landscape and title. And it's like landscape, title. And that's what this was. We didn't learn a single damn thing, except that Peter Molyneux didn't show up to shoot his mouth off. Again, I played Fable, the first one, and I enjoyed it. But I played it right after playing Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. And a lot of the things that it was doing, I was like, KOTOR did it better. I never got around to playing Fable 2 or Fable 3. I don't think there are any other Fable games. I don't think that any Fable main games came out for the Xbox One.
No.
I think Fable 3 was a 360 game.
Mm-hmm.
Fable 2, I forget if it was original Xbox or 360. I never got a chance to play the original Fable, but I wanted to. I might do that for my next Let's Play series. Not for the Citadel, but for my next Let's Play series, because I've been sitting here like, Dave, at some point we need to go back and record some more Prey.
Mm-hmm.
Mech Assault's coming out, and when that's done, I need something. It might be Fable.
YouTube.com/Boaterbug, by the way, for all of your boater-related video needs on YouTube.
Again, a couple weeks ago, I made a brand new channel trailer, and I love it. Like, right now, it's Mech Assault is coming out, and the rebroadcast of We Happy Few in half-hour chunks for the next few weeks. One was supposed to go up today, but I just realized I forgot to upload it, so it's coming out tomorrow. I will say, quick aside from news, I stopped releasing the recap. The recap is something that I had done for 4 years straight, basically, with a few hiatuses along the way, but always with the intention to come back. And now it's just like, with a combination of my current job and with the stress of these times and the nature of what it was, the recap was something that always took clips from what I was doing on YouTube and on Twitch and everything like that. And it just got so labor intensive that unfortunately I wasn't able to do it anymore. But I want to keep coming out with normal content on my channel. So, again, going back to how we got on that tangent, Fable, I think, will be a good one.
Fable's going to be a really good one. It got a really good response. Of course, the trolls were in chat. And I liked the fact that the live stream of this, as someone that watched it live on Twitch, and it was sponsored part in Twitch, so they did partner with them for this. They did a great job of pulling people's excitement, getting people's engaged from the chat of almost 100,000 people at one point. And they really did pull us in and engage us and work around that. But Boater, what are you most looking for in the game and things like that? What's your excitement for the next gen systems?
I honestly just there's nothing right now for me that's like a killer app for the next gen systems. I'll be looking at getting them because I'm always up for extra power, and I do want the opportunity to be getting recent releases, even though I'm getting fewer than I was before. Control, for instance, was one that came out last year that I was happy to be able to play because I had the console for it. I had the regular Xbox One instead of the Xbox One X, so the loading times were painful, but I was able to play it. So yeah, I'll get a current gen system. Infinite, because I'm still invested in the story of Halo. I really enjoyed Halo 5. I came out with a video after Halo 5 came out that was me, talking for 45 minutes about the implications of it, what happened at the end, and what it means for story, as well as comparing its weapons to previous games. I really like that video. If I had it off the top of my head, I'd link it in chat, but it was a Halo 5 reaction video where basically I hopped in my car, went to work, and talked to a GoPro in my car on the way into work and on the way back. So like I as much as it's one of those overly typical shooter man's games as far as its perception, I do still enjoy the story of Halo. I will want to get a Series X to be able to play Infinite, and I'll be interested because so far the sequel trilogy for Halo has mirrored the structure of the first trilogy in many ways, even to the point where the obvious one is that in Halo 2 you had Deuteragonist, you had Master Chief and you had the Arbiter.
Yeah.
And in Halo 5 you had Master Chief and Spartan Locke. That being able to play both. So, like, I want to do that. But aside from that, like, there's not something that's like gripping me for the Series X. And again, like PlayStation, I've never been a PlayStation person, so our household, within 3 years of them dropping, I'm sure that we'll have both a PS5 and a Series X.
Yeah.
Just, are we going to get one of them on release? Whatever. Demon Dragon, thank you so much for the link to my Halo 5 video. Yeah.
Very excited for the Series X coming out. Very excited to see what these two generations do. Appreciating the fact that Microsoft has canceled production of the X. So when people come into the store in the holiday season upcoming and they say, I want an Xbox X, there is only one on the market presently being sold, and so I only have to deal with one.
Yeah, again, we talked about that a bit last week, but I think that it's a good move in retrospect for them to... You know what they should really do?
What's that?
Is... It's so weird because the Xbox Series X is a distinct machine apart from the regular Xbox One.
Yes.
But my thoughts are just rebrand the Xbox One X as Xbox One, so that the only ones that they're making are the upgraded X models. And then you have your Series X for the next machine. So,
Can't hurt.
Because at this point, like, people that get an Xbox One, there is such little that you would be losing so little by going back to a regular Xbox One. I feel like just for sake of keeping their manufacturing lines consolidated, why make multiple machines? Just make the Xbox One X and call it the Xbox One so that you don't have that X brand confusion. And then that way they still have that machine, because you said that they are still going to do branded tie-in things like Cyberpunk 2077 bundle or whatever with Xbox One X. They can still do that with that machine that they're making on that one assembly line. Microsoft, you should do it. But I'm also the person that had some sort of thing about it being the Xbox 17, so I don't know.
There's so many good stories coming from this week, but Boda, let's see if you can do an impression. Boda, what's an impression of you at a baseball game? What does that look like?
Stuff in my face.
Okay.
There's food.
All right. Now, Boda, can you imagine right now, have you watched any... I know the answer to this question. Have you watched any baseball that's...
I have seen highlight clips of it, and where they... Because remember... A couple months ago, we talked about how, like, Japanese baseball leagues had, like, plushies in the seats and stuff like that. I've seen a few with MLB now that opening day was last week, where they're playing, and they're going with the cardboard cutouts in the seats. And someone made a very good point that watching MLB in 2020 looks like playing MLB in 2000. Like the high fidelity background crowd.
So, even better than that, Boater, starting next week on all Fox Sports broadcasts, they are using the Unreal Engine to put that early 2000s audience. You are back in the game, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, they are back. And
so, okay, hold on. So, as a kid, I was always blown away by the fact that there was the yellow line that would show up in football.
Yes.
And they've evolved that technology, whatever, and it's all tied in gyroscopically to the cameras. They can just digitally track stuff. Do you mean to tell me that they are using that technology, coupled with the Unreal Engine, so that when you're looking over a pitcher's shoulder in baseball, they are using the Unreal Engine to generate a crowd in the background?
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking awesome.
Even better. So this is a direct quote from Major League Baseball, from Fox Sports executive Brad Zager. We had a vision for making our Major League Baseball broadcasts look as natural as they were before COVID. Not only can fans be customized to support for whatever team, but the crowd size can also dwindle in later innings. If it's 8-1 in a game, the crowd's definitely going to be thinned out later in the game. And it's so true.
That's awesome!
It's so true. So the baseball is really using these graphics and the fact that their games are up to date to their advantage, because digitally, all of the stadiums already exist
Yeah.
in MLB The Show, so now they just literally have to drag and drop
Yeah.
the audience because it's to
Oh,
scale
that's
in
so
the game.
cool.
So I was very excited when I saw that. I'm even more excited. I also
on that note, sort of, as long as we're talking about the camera tracking,
Yes.
and I'm a little late to this. Dave, I think we already talked about it. Did you watch The Mandalorian
Yes.
on Disney Plus? Okay. Did you watch the Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian, which is 8 behind-the-scenes episodes talking about it?
No.
One of the things that they talked about that they spent a lot of time on was what they called the volume, a space that was like 40 feet across or something like that. Basically, the way that in the olden days of 10 years ago, you would have someone in the middle of a room with a ton of green screen around them.
Yep.
And now and then you would do all that in post. What they did now was that gyroscopic stuff that we're talking about, that tracking the yellow line, tracking the crowd into the shot, whatever, they tracked that, again, using Unreal Engine, and they generated all of the environments needed, all of the visual effects needed. I think some of it with Unreal Engine, some of it is actually like pre-rendered, whatever. So that as the camera moves around in that space, it is being tracked. And if someone is standing on a desert planet, it's literally just a wall of LCD screens, 360 degrees around them, ceiling, everything like that. And like parallax generated when you're going through the camera. So like if you're looking at something 50 feet away and 100 feet away, it's all just displayed on the screen. But as the camera moves to the side, it's natural. Like it was really cool to actually see in person, watching the Disney Plus gallery stuff. Like I'm watching, and there was one bit where like there's this patch that kind of moves a little differently, and I all of a sudden like realized that is what the camera's looking at, and I like paused and nerded out the stuff because I figured out that like, oh, this is all a static image that they use for getting reflections off of Mando's helmet and for getting proper lighting and everything like that. But then when they need to render like parallax or whatever, they only do the bit that's in front of the camera to save on processor hardware. I'm like, ah! I nerded out real bad about that.
So the other thing that you folks at home, because I know that a lot of our regulars aren't necessarily as big of a baseball fan as I am or as CJ Playmaker are. Boater, have you ever gone to a baseball game and gone, hey, batter, swing, batter, and messed them up?
No.
Oh. You can now, without the consequence of some big dude beating the crap out of you. On MLB.com, if the games are live, they allow for the internet to troll as absolutely hard as they can. Because you, the people at home watching the game, can click whether to cheer, whether to boo, or whether to clap, and they play that sound
in the stadium,
and depending on the size of the choice of it, it gets. Because I was watching on Sunday.
Hold on. Is it actually based on the size, or is it like the cheerometer that shows up on the jumbotron that is just pre-rendered and does its own fucking thing anyway?
Now I worried about that. I worried about that until I turned up one of the TVs here, and I absolutely slammed on two computers the clap button. Because one of the pitchers was absolutely getting murdered, and I was enjoying it, and it was great. And all of a sudden, about a minute after I really spammed it and people started getting in with it, you just heard the guy throws a pitch, and you hear, strike two, and you just heard.
Oh, that's amazing.
Like, and it got there. You can mess up Major League Baseball players right now, and it is simply the best.
That's incredible.
The players interviewed about it said that they love it because it's helping keep them in practice for when there's actual people in the stands, because you don't know.
Because that would be such a shock. I mean, like, John Oliver last week tonight, for 4 months, he's just been in front of a white sheet in his office. And, he's like, comedians are used to performing to crowds that are non-responsive or whatever. But it's still like, it's going to be a bit of an adjustment, like that first one back. Like, even, as much as we're like, hey, Dave, we're back in the studio. He'll be like, hey, I'm back in the studio. Big crowd, and just, okay, sorry, give me a moment for that. And a new pair of pants.
Well, like rigor mortis, I highly recommend, and I'll try to message you somehow. If you're following at DM314, we're going to do an event at some point where we're going to mess up a pitcher.
Oh my god, are we going to raid an MLB game?
What we're going to try to do is, At some point, someone is going to have to get on the mound for the first time. I'm going to know who that pitcher is, and we're going to screw them up. So what's funny, Demon Dragon, is it does scale. So me on those two computers clicking the clap button very faintly, can't really hear it from the field, but you know that it's out there because they've shown that the speakers are out there doing it. Speaking of messing people up, something that I did talk about earlier in the season, and I haven't really talked about, but I'm still a very big fan of, is the Overwatch Competitive League. I love that game. I just can't follow that league to YouTube. I'm just not a fan of the presentation on there. Mm-hmm. But, Boater, an average competitive game of Overwatch, which is comprised of between 2 and tiebreaker, between 3 and 5 rounds. How long do you think an average competitive match?
Well, considering I don't play Overwatch, so I have no idea how long a regular match is. I don't know, half an hour.
You're exactly right.
Okay.
Average of 25 minutes to 45 minutes is a comp match. Pros, their matches are on an average a little bit around 30, and they get between 5 minutes and 12 minutes per round. The San Francisco Shock, and if you can't tell, I'm a big fan of those particular teams, absolutely spanked the Boston Uprising in a 3-0 shutout in 22 minutes. The fastest an Overwatch Competitive League game had ever been done in the history of the league and the history of them recording competitive Overwatch.
Okay.
Only to be destroyed a week later when the San Francisco Shock took the Vancouver Titans, who, if you watch any Overwatch League, know that they were the people to beat every single year. And they literally just bodied them out of a glass window in 19 minutes with another 3-0 shutout. These rounds in last year between the Vancouver Titans and San Francisco Shock went to 7 games and could take up an hour and a half. They this year were just not having it and not letting the Vancouver Titans have anything, and they slammed them out in 19 minutes. Congratulations to the team on the Shock, the players, the strategists, and the fact that they are playing remotely and not in the usual league that they had gotten used to over the last couple years. It is amazing to watch. I looked at the highlights of it. It was hilarious. You know when you're playing a video game online and you start to catch momentum, like in LoL, especially. I know a lot of you guys out in chat, Demon Dragon, I'm speaking your language. They're so done with that bullshit. Exactly. So the San Francisco said, we won the championship last year. Meh. When you're playing League, you're getting really good. You got your build, you're on. And then all of a sudden, the other team sweeps from a different lane that's not your responsibility. They sweep right in. They get all the way down to the control, and they're just blowing it away. And so the game is back to catching up. Mm-hmm. That's what's been happening in the Overwatch League, and it is amazing to see, considering that the meta of that game has changed so much.
Yeah. You were saying something as far as like, oh yeah, short game, and then just blow out like again and again. Just it reminded me kind of tangentially of a different sport. Marble League 2020. And it's silly, and I'm only going to take a moment on it. But the Marble League's been going on for 5 or so years now, and most of the events that carry on year to year, they have like world record for block pushing distance, for instance.
Yeah.
4 marbles go down, push a cylinder, and how far does it go? And a week ago, I think not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before was the block pushing event, and like the third team that went broke the record, and then like the very next team broke that record, and then I think it was broken 2 more times in the same event.
Oh no!
And the best part is that it's Marble League, so we're like, oh man, if I was the Savage Speeders, I'd be pissed, kind of like with the marbles. It's great to watch. Right now, there have been 9 events so far in the 2020 Marble League. I think there's going to be 16 overall. It's sponsored by Last Week Tonight. The winners, every single event, there is a $5,000 donation to a food bank somewhere in America in the team's name, with thanks to Last Week Tonight. So it's been really fun.
So
you get that in actual sports too, like actual Olympics of, wow, the record was broken. Wow, the record was broken again. I guess the snow's really good for the half pipe this year. I don't fucking...
Isn't it amazing to see that happen, like, in these different competitive sports, these different measured achievements, to see, these long-standing records. When Usain Bolt ran the fastest 100-meter,
Mm-hmm.
no one had come close up until that point, and he smoked it.
Yeah.
And so it's really interesting to see these things. I look greatly forward to seeing what achievements people are able to get to.
For that matter, sort of similar, I really like watching videos that dissect speedrunning a level.
Yeah.
Like, there was
Yes.
one that was talking about speedrunning, I think it was like the yacht level in GoldenEye. Or, that how they were getting a sub 23 second because it just goes to the even whatever, and how much RNG there is involved in it, and just a whole bunch of the quest for that. Then another one that was the very first track in Trackmania Nations, and up to 2010 this was kind of the cap, and then this new technique was discovered which chopped another tenth of a second off of the time, which when you're talking a 12-second thing is big.
Exactly.
Again, just seeing that, like how it pushes itself. So, hey, if you ever look up, I don't have the channel names off the top of my head, but there's been a few different ones that do it, that are talking about speedrunning, and how, like, for a specific level, like there's a couple with Doom levels, like how speedrunning has changed, and the meta for a speedrun has changed in the past 30 years or whatever. So go ahead and get to your next topic. I know that I've sidetracked like 5 times on this one.
No. Speaking of changing metas,
I'm sorry. I'm going to sidetrack one more time.
Yes.
It is much easier to have this kind of rapid back and forth and these quick sidetracks while we are in person.
Yes.
Because while we were remote, there was chat lag with being over the headset. Like, not bad, but enough that, like, we're both really good at chat etiquette, so we know when we're done talking, wait half a second for the next person to pick it back up. In person, no, there's this rapid fire thing. Yep. I have missed this so much. Okay, I promise. Go ahead. Get to the next topic.
So I know this is a topic you're going to get really excited about, Boater, because it's really right in your alley.
I'm out of water. I'm going to eat an ice cube. Go ahead.
I know that Boater here is one of the biggest fans of the Battle Royale franchises. He's on those games perpetually. You do nothing but you see him playing them.
Did I mention I uninstalled Warzone?
And Boater's 2 favorite Battle Royale games are getting upgrades in the styles in the 2 games that you're exactly thinking of, the 2 I'm about to talk about.
Warzone and Fortnite.
Boom! So, Fortnite, for the first time, actually, and the reason I kind of want to bring this up, promised something at the beginning of a new season, but are showing a little bit of humility. They're taking a knee for a minute. They were supposed to add a new drivable vehicle, which is going to be solitary players able to drive around these vehicles and things like that. But due to development restraints and things like that, and not wanting to go into crunch on their developers, they have said it's coming later with the patches and things like that. And so I'm very happy that even though they weren't working in the beta for it, they didn't push it out to make sure that everybody got it. Speaking of push it out and do it right, damn it. Warzone. Typically, every time you play a Warzone game, you'll notice that the game map has been static since the first day. Mm-hmm. They've been releasing hints to the streamers and players and things like that. Is the sports stadium in the center of the map about to be irreparably changed? One of the videos shows an explosion happening on a security camera. Is the water getting higher towards the tide end on the south end of the map? Is that big monument in danger of continuing to remain in obscurity as a landing spot because now it'll be beachfront? Is there going to be a train moving around the map perpetually in Verdansk that players can get on and off of?
Warzone has a huge map. That would be interesting to have something that is, number one, transport along the map, but number 2, when you're on that train, that's still a combat zone.
Exactly. That's the thing, and the reason they're hinting at
freaking Wild West shootout on top of the cars. Let's go, buddy.
Especially because
put that assault rifle away. Get your revolver.
Yep. They have it set up where, and it will do the stereotypical movie moment where two people are standing on the train and one person just backs up in between the cars while the other person gets splattered into the top end of a overpass or a sign.
Insert your favorite Ennio Morricone score, and also rest in peace.
Oh, yes. Choo-choo, motherfuckers. I am super excited
trains.
for those Warzone updates coming. And I have the Nerd Glasses question of the week that I did want to get to before we get.
Yes, it's been a few weeks since we've done the community questions. So
into please. The time I have been asking, and we just haven't had the time.
We haven't gotten to it. Death Stranding was trying to beat it up in the back room, and we just couldn't get to
it. I asked this question. I'm going to repeat the question, and I want you guys in chat to think of your answers and give them out as Boda responds, and as I read the responses in Discord, I got. But I posited. I've been playing NASCAR Heat 5 and Warhammer Vermintide 2 for the first time this past week. One of these games got really in-depth, getting you controls, mechanics, gameplay, world building, and the other went vroom and stared blankly at me as I finished 23rd of 35. But frankly, I'm glad games don't all do the same intros and beginning levels and tutorials. What do you prefer? A more structured start in your games? Or to be tossed straight into the deep end? What do you prefer? So I did have, Boder, while you formulate your answer, I did have two short responses from the Garnted Cult. Fenian had as long as I got a handle on the mechanics, I'm good to go. Your typical long-form gamer, things like that. And then allegedly Amp Slayer saying as long as it's done right, than either. Basically, as long as they don't spend an hour telling you the same thing over and over again, he's good with it. I was able to get a comment from Danny NASCAR.
Okay.
And Danny NASCAR, if you don't know him, by the way, you should tune in to the program previous to this one and on Sunday mornings and watch Danny NASCAR. He's a magnanimous man and he's very outspoken. And his exact words were, first of all, who the fuck are you and how did you get in my dressing room? And after that wore off, he asked, and positive with the question, he said that he prefers games to have progression based upon the scope of the game. Talking about NASCAR, it's a very simple, straightforward game. You're making another left turn, literally. So there doesn't really need to be that big of an intro. With games that do have a larger scope, a la Warzone, a la your Destinies, things like that have a lot of nuance, a lot of mechanics, and a lot of things that it can't teach you. Your RPGs, things like that. They should have more of a progression and more of a based upon the scope of the game. Boder, what's your take on it? What do you prefer? You pop it in a game for the first time, be it a new Fable game, be it a return to Mad Max on the Citadel after this. What do you prefer?
Well, first out, you mentioned coming back to Mad Max, and I think there was an XKCD or something along the lines of like, hey, we noticed it's been 4 months since he played this. Here's a quick reminder. But unfortunately I can't find it. Sometime in the past couple of weeks, I actually watched a YouTube video that was talking about games that have a lot of tutorial, games that have absolutely zero tutorial and throw you into it, and games that kind of find that happy medium in the middle. I like two different things. First, I like a specific tutorial that you play separate from the main game. The Half-Life... the Half-Life Hazard course is the preeminent example of this. Absolutely. In my mind. Because you go into that, it teaches you basic movement, how to jump, how to long jump, how to crouch, like all these basic things. It was my first real PC first-person shooter that was like full 3D WASD and mouse kind of thing, and I really appreciated that kind of thing. And you don't really see that anymore. The other thing that I like is a game that teaches you things as it introduces it. So I don't like it when it pauses the game to do so. And I'm looking at Mech Assault here because, again, that's what I played recently that came out. And I'm like, walk in this direction. And then I walk and I like run into a cliff. I'm like, what the hell do I do now? And then it takes my controller like 5 seconds to be like, hey, here's how you use your jump jets to go over a thing, and then it pauses the game to say, hit this button for your jump jets.
Oh no!
Rather than me just clicking the thumbstick and going. Assassin's Creed, I think, did a really good job of that kind of thing. Where, hey, you know, like the beginning of Assassin's Creed 2 is not a masterclass, I won't say, but does a really good job of like, hey, here's how to move around, here's how to free run. Like, hey, you're hanging out with your brother on the rooftops, here's how to free run. Hey, we need to, hey, he's running, your brother has run into someone that's one of his rivals. Looks like we're gonna have to fight. Here's how to fight. And it's all with on-screen prompts as it's actually happening. So, oh, I'm gonna hit that button. Look, I punched a guy. Oh, here's how I counter. Jedi Fallen Order didn't do as good a job of that. Steph picked that up to play that, and she was getting a little frustrated because, like, sometimes you gotta hold something, sometimes you gotta hit it just right, and, like, the prompt goes away while it's still keeping you in a part of the level that is expecting you to do the thing to pass it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Assassin's Creed, you get in that fight, and, oh no, my brother, took one in the kisser, and here's a doctor who's like, well, you gotta pay me first, so here's how to pickpocket money so that you can then pay the doctor for healing and whatever. Assassin's Creed did a really good job of teaching you things as you went along, keeping it up on screen as you go. I don't think that we've gotten any responses from chat as far as how do you prefer to learn a game, I guess, is the
losers.
Short
it's your chance to make your voice heard.
Halo did a good job of that too. Like the first Halo was like, oh, look up, and then you look up, and it's all right, cool. I'm going to invert that. Now try looking up again. Oh, do you want it that way or the last way? Newer games will just say, all right, look up, and then whichever way you instinctively hit, that is up. If you pull down to look up, then they will probably just immediately be like, all right, cool, you're on inverted now. We didn't even ask you if that's a thing. That's obviously what you wanted. And I think that for the most part, games do a good job with that now.
Yes.
But it is also something where I'm well versed in the language of games, whereas people that aren't, they might miss smaller cues. NT-Class Prime, thank you for popping in. We are talking about the community question, which is, in short, how do you prefer to learn a game? How in-depth do you want a tutorial to be? What style do you prefer it? Or do you want to just be thrown into the deep end with a couple of cement shoes and go and have fun? I don't know if I've ever been thrown into the deep end of a game with cement shoes, but I've certainly been thrown in the deep end a few times.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about you? You mentioned the you mentioned what prompted the question for you, and you gave us the answers from the community Discord.
Anticlass Prime depends on the game. I grew up how Dark Souls does it.
I grew to like how Dark Souls does it. Yeah, I think Dark Souls did it well. I played Dark Souls 3, and I think that did a decent job. Though it's also
Stockholm Syndrome.
Yeah, it's it tells you the things, it tells you the controls, but it doesn't tell you best practices. It's a lot of trial and error, and I think that's fine for that genre.
Yes.
But I know some of my friends that would have otherwise liked Jedi Fallen Order, which is, in some respects, a Souls-style game as far as gameplay goes. I think they were going in expecting a slightly more standard action-adventure RPG, and they got something more Dark Souls-y, and the game doesn't tell you best practices. I had to discover, after dying 20 times to a boss, that the block button actually matters here because I haven't had to use it for the rest of the game. I haven't had to block and parry. I got to use it here. And then the very next boss would hit me with so many attacks at once that it drained my stamina bar if I tried to block, so I had to figure out something else.
Yeah, I'm a very big fan of the Capcom game style intros where you come to a new area, the game goes, hey, here's a new ability. Or later in the game, it's just you have a new ability, or you pick up an item, and the first thing you encounter is a puzzle to use that. It's usually simple, usually very straightforward.
Yep.
And then the rest of the time you're there, it's a very weird, it's a different way of looking at how to solve this exact problem using the tool you have in front of you.
Yeah.
And I greatly enjoy
Zelda
that.
would do that a fair amount, right? Like
Yes.
some dungeons would be like, hey, you
Yep.
get this thing at the start of the dungeon, And then it's going to be based around this main gimmick to train you in using this new tool that you have. So there will be like an on-screen thing saying, hey, do this, but then you'll be trained as you play the game in using that. But then it's up to you to remember that is in your, frankly, absurd skill set. Like, games that do that end up having so many different things. And that's part of the problem I had with Jedi Fallen Order, is that I had so many different cool things I could do. I just forgot about blocking. I didn't have to use it because I had so many other cool things. And then there was one specific boss that just needed the one thing.
So, I wanted to talk about this topic last, because I know
Is it
you're
Death
gonna.
Stranding?
Unfortunately, guys, it looks like Death Stranding. We're gonna have to buy another plane ticket to come in, because this last topic, I have a feeling that Boater's gonna get very excited about.
Okay.
Boater, have you heard of? Hold on, I'm gonna have the first word pronounced so I don't pronounce it incorrectly. Eiyuden Chronicle: 100 Heroes.
I haven't heard of it.
Okay. Do you know why I think you're going to get excited about this game? Because I go on Kickstarter, and since this broadcast started, by the way, it has raised over that's a comma, $1 million, and it has been backed. The highest pledge amount to this game, and I promise there's a reason I'm doing it this way, is $3,667 which should be converted to 38,000. Excuse me, an ungodly amount of yen. The reason for this particular backer catching to my attention is because it's a return project for some familiar names in the gaming industry. Namely, it's a JRPG. I'm going to mispronounce this name, but Yoshitaka Murayama and Junko Kuwano. I apologize if I have mispronounced your names. However, do you know what those names have in common, what they worked on?
I do not.
They were, respectively, Mr. Murayama he was the creator of the Suikoden series.
Nice.
And he produced and directed for Konami until his departure in 2002, before the release of Suikoden 3. So he was on Suikoden 1 and 2.
Okay.
And then Miss Kawano worked as a game designer and game director and writer, helping Mr. Murayama create the Suikoden series, and initially character designer and illustrator for producing Suikoden 4 and the spin-off title Suikoden Tactics.
Cool.
They are getting together with another team to create a traditional 6-character battle system, 2D sprites, 100-character inventory, and it'll be coming to PC at minimum goal and additional platforms PS5 and Xbox Series X. It has 31 days left to back, and it is very much getting backed.
There's been a lot of people asking for more Suikoden. I mean, Tactics, I think, was the last one. And, you know, I played Suikoden 4 in my channel, which is... I'm not a Suikoden fan. I enjoyed Suikoden 4, but I'm not, like, a series fan. Suikoden 4 was a PS2 game. Tactics, I think, also. So it's been a long time. It's been a long time since Konami gave a shit about video games, let's be honest. So these people that made some...
pachinko machines, Boater.
But... So these people that made these games for Konami, where Konami is no longer putting out that IP, they're like, hey, we're going to do a spiritual return to it. And again, it's people that were involved in that. And you know what that reminds me of?
What's that?
Grip. Which I did a big video on my channel talking about Grip in a preview, how it was a great spiritual successor to Volcage and Volcage Stage 2. They didn't have the license to use that name, but it's basically that and everything but name. And that is like really well upgraded, everything like that. This sounds like it's going to be a little more in the traditional style of the early Suikoden games, which a lot of people praise as the best anyway. And that's really cool. Like, again, I'm not a huge Suikoden person, but that's really cool that people that made those games in an era where games like that were passion projects. that they're able to go back and do more of that, and that the people that want those games will be able to get more of it. Especially considering, hold on, what was the goal?
The goal was, translated from yen to US dollars, $509,000.
$509,000.
Since I started talking about this, it has now been raised up to $6,200, by the way. So it's gone up $6,000 in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, cool. Did this just launch today or something?
It may have just launched today, but I am super excited. Not gambling, says Auntie. I am very excited for it. I will actually be backing this, partially because the digital version is actually only $35. And the physical version is only $37, and it gives you beta access, a physical version, and a Discord role, which, by the way, folks, if you're not involved in Discord and you're involved with gaming, you really should get on that. I got that advice at a convention recently, and the growth that I have seen in my engagement and with my community has been infinitely larger than that on trying to contend with Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to reach out to the community and get these things.
I'm browsing through this right now, and for pronunciation purposes, that would be, let me get to the thing, Yoshitaka Murayama and Junko Kawano. And that looks really cool. Like, I am really excited for that. Like, the more I look at it, like, I may be backing that as well. How do I view the things? Rewards, there we go. I have a weakness for this kind of crap. Yep, hey, you can hear me being really excited for that. Digital version, physical version, digital double pack. Discord rules, like you said. I think I've talked about this before. Ooh, CD soundtrack for that one. Okay. Mark of the Bard. Well, I'll probably be going at that level then.
There is a backing project. The last one.
Oh, I never go all the way to the. I go to the bottom, but I never back all the way at the bottom.
The reward is no longer available. So whatever it is, the most expensive available. Wow, some people really wanted to be like in and on this game. Good God, the scrolling. Yep, all the top ones have absolutely been taken. There is 10 left at the 750,000 yen, which I do not know what that translates to in US dollars. Hang on, I'll do that translate really quick, but really looking forward to seeing this one in action. So for the low price of 7,138 US dollars, you get a physical version of the Chronicle, a sigil button, a soundtrack, an art book. You get to visit the team. You get a job rewards set of your choice, beta access, and a unique noble Discord role.
Oh my God!
Just for $3,000, Butter. Just $3,000.
Wow. Where do I sign up? Well, it Kickstarter. We already dropped the link in there, Butter. Don't you understand how this works? I absolutely don't.
There's a T-shirt in the earlier rewards that you don't get for this big one. I want that T-shirt when I visit the dev team.
Well, I guess you'll just have to back twice. If you're backing that later one, you can afford to back an earlier one as well.
That's true. Let's see. How much can I get paid as a poor TA? How much is the? Let's look at this one.
What was the most expensive one that has been claimed at this point?
It was 385,000 yen.
So that's. Oh, I thought the other one that you said was more expensive than that.
Oh, they may have been shoving the ones that are...
Oh, the claimed ones are all the way down at the bottom. Okay, cool.
Boo! Boo!
Okay, so no, the most expensive one is still available.
There's 10 of them left.
Get your
you
tickets,
can still
folks.
visit the dev team.
There are 10 golden tickets. They could be all yours for about $7,000.
There's 2 different tiers of 7,000.
Oh, lordy.
That's amazing. Oh, my God.
One of them has the T-shirt.
That's the difference. One of them is the Visit the Dev team, and the other one is you get a T-shirt and a replica shield. Ooh, a replica shield.
Oh, look at this replica shield. My stars.
Well, I could see my due with a shield to walk about town with.
Wow.
Could cause much mayhem at my next gathering of people. So, ladies and gentlemen, the time is now 8:34, and I know what you're thinking. My God, this is usually when the Twitch streamers say follow and subscribe, and then they go offline, and then I have to watch some awful rated ass clown that I don't know about, but I'm expected to follow him because I'm a fan. But no, ladies and gentlemen, because next on Insane Games TV, of course I'm okay. I love this. Next on Insane Games TV is the one, the few, my co-host, Boater, on the Citadel. Boater, what are you playing on the Citadel?
I am playing Mad Max. I have not played that game for 4 months. I'm not sure exactly where we are. Hey, can you turn on the screen? Cool, thank you. I'm not sure exactly where we are, but I'm ready to just kind of hop in the car and cause some mayhem in the wasteland.
Yes!
I'm so glad that I was able to finish Bard's Tale last week, for the last at-home one.
Preaching to the choir of Mad Max was so dope and criminally underrated.
Absolutely. There's a few things in it that frustrated me, but for the most part, such a great game, and I'm happy to be giving it another chance here on the Citadel. So what's going to happen is that we are going to go offline. You will stick right here because in 90 to 120 seconds, that is a minute and a half to 2 minutes, the countdown for the Citadel will then come back on for about a 10-minute countdown. Yeah. So, yeah, make sure to stick around in that break, and I will be right back playing Mad Max. In the meantime, Dave, this has been the Nerd Glasses Podcast back in the studio.
Hell yes.
I've been Boater.
I've been Dave, man.
And that's been the Carousel. Thank you all for joining us today, and I cannot wait to keep doing the Nerd Glasses Podcast right here from the Insane Games TV studio. And we'll see you next week, and hopefully I'll see you in just a few minutes on the Citadel.
Bye!